Welcome back to B&B Studios, where Berner and Barthy will talk all things happening in the Central Coast Rugby competition. Good chat, good footy, good fun. Take it away, boys.
Barthy, how are you, mate?
Mate, good.
Tomo a bit loud there. Tomo yelling into the microphone, it seemed, for me.
Well, I'm not sure if that intro worked in. It cut out for me. Such as the, I guess, the lines. Internet,
it was perfect for me. I felt like I was getting shouted at by Tomo. But again, my headphone volume could be a little bit too loud.
It wouldn't be the first time, pal, and I don't think it's going to be the last either. So
yeah, it didn't feel out of place, which was kind of upsetting a little bit. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. First of all, happy Easter, pal, and happy birthday.
Thanks, mate. Having a beer for you out of my favourite cooler. You can see on screen just there. Nothing better. Cheers, mate.
How's your Easter? Good?
Yeah, Easter was good. It was awesome. Obviously, to have a little bit of time off and top it up with the birthday on Monday, which has been good, nice and relaxing. Caught up with some mates, some family, the usual stuff that you get up to in sort of the break. So, yeah. How was yours? You went away for a few days?
Yeah, mate, got away. Went out and went to the home of the Gloucester Cockies rugby team out in Gloucester. So, went out and had a bit of a look around there. Did a bit of a pitch inspection, and which was great.
Had to hold up. How was the pitch?
Oh, it was good. There's plenty of wet weather on the Friday, but it'll hold up well for the season. Hopefully, they're in. The old Gloucester Cockies. A bit hard when you're playing a village competition and one team sort of town. But one of the great Razorback greats. Well, I played against him when the Razorbacks used to be a Rimba before they lost their location and just became the Razorbacks. So one of the greats, Chris Marchant, a number 8, used to, from memory, captain the Razorbacks. If he didn't, he should have. He was a very good rugby player and an absolutely awesome human being. So I know he played up there. I didn't catch up with him when I was in Gloucester, but I know he played for him and had a little bit to do with them. Probably still does. But anyway, yeah, that was my weekend. Listeners, you still with us?
Yeah, I don't think they are. I think it's a bit of a boring intro. They'd probably skip to the next part, actually, is where they've gone
That's
for
right.
it. Mate, this weekend the competition starts, which is huge because we've had probably the longest introduction to a season in terms of a potty that we could possibly have had with the extensions and everything. So week off this week with Easter, but round 1 kicks off this weekend. So this episode, we're going to give you our preview or the preview of this weekend, and then also who we think are going to finish in the top 5 for men's and also the top 4 for women's to play the finals. And also the Bitumen Bash does wrap up this week, which we're going to get to a little bit later on. And, well, it's pretty clear cut who the winner's going to be. So you ready to get into it, Barthy?
Let's do it, pal. Let's rip in.
Try my best to cut you off there.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, Ben.
Right.
That's great. Good for a first.
All right, let's predict our finals teams. So, who are you going with? Let's start off with you. Let's start off with the women's.
Start off with the women's. Okay, well, the Avoca Beach are the current premiers, and they're the team that I think you can lock them in. They're going to be first or second. I've got them in top of the table. You can interchange them with the Terrigal Trojan women. We've waxed lyrical quite often about the Trojans and are clearly the best competition side, but the Avoca Beach Sharks are clearly the best postseason, semi-final, big matches team. And as a result, they've had Terrigal Trojans measure. So see how we go this year. So Avoca Beach and Terrigal will be my first and second. They will play the major semi-final for mine from what I can see happening in the women's game. How do you see your 1 and 2, Berner?
Yeah, I'm the same with you there. I don't know who's going to come out or who it's going to be 1 or 2 there. I think it's a flip of the coin, as it has been the last couple of years. But I think they are very clearly 1 and 2. And, it's only preseason, but I just don't know how close the other teams get to them. Hornsby's been the only real threat, I think, in previous seasons, but I think they're definitely 1 and 2. For me, mate, 3 and 4, I'm going to lock in Hornsby there again because they have been the one to threaten in previous years. And I'm my smoky to sort of go up there is going to be the Razorbacks, considering how they went last year.
Yep.
And they lost the bong late in the year. I think
They
the
did.
Razorbacks are. I think they're a smoky to play finals footy. I think the culture that they got going at the Razorbacks that I'm seeing, and again, I don't know, have no idea about the players or anything there, but when you got a good culture at a club, it attracts players that want to go there and play there, and especially when you get a couple of wins. So I want to back the Razorbacks women to play finals footy this year.
Well, Ellie Dark's dynamic. She's been there for the last few seasons. Hopefully she's there again this year. And I think that's a good shout out for the Razorback women. I think they're every chance. I've gone Hornsby as well, pal. We saw in a couple of weeks ago, the first round for the women's, when they had the tournament up at the Lakes, we saw the Hornsby women are competitive again. I'm going to say 20-14 score line. I can't remember off the top of my head with the Avoca Beach women. So there's no doubting the Hornsby women's side, they'll be there or thereabouts. I've gone Lakes for my fourth place. Whilst I see absolute credit in the Razorback women, I think that's a good shout out. Seen perhaps a few players sort of moving around between the Lakes. It may have just been on the day to ensure numbers, but I think we might see the Lakes back up last year. They snuck into the semi-finals last year. With that experience under their belt, I think you might see them back it up again this year.
All right, on to the men's, mate. So 5 teams in the finals because we do have Boy added to it. Who have you got? Have you got a winner? Have you got a predicted table topper for the end of the year? Got a first place.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I have. I've actually stood out a side, and this is more on what they should do, and that's I'll put the Razorbacks as top of the table, considering they've got a proportion of the carry-on side that we've seen some players go to Gosford and some go to the Razorbacks. We've seen a couple go over to Terrigal as well. I think that Razorback side are primed and ready to have a good shake at the title. They went very, very close last year, and I've got them as my minor premiers or my sort of major semi-final players, if you will, for the men's comp. How have you gone? Who have you seen on top?
Yeah, I'm the same with you there, mate. I think I'm going Razorbacks to top it, and I think they had whilst I think not punching overs, I don't think they were doing last year. It's probably the wrong thing to say, but just given the players out of position that they had, how well they performed and consistently. And it wasn't just they had a good game in that position. They were consistently good in those positions. And they're obviously a solid side. But then when you start to add Jake Hubbard into the mix, that's strengthened you quite a bit, because when you look to carry on last year, the players you look to break the game open were probably Jake Hubbard, or you look to Lockie Peruk, and they're both gone to the Razorbacks as game breakers. And then when you looked at Warnervale, who was going to break the game open, or who you needed something, or probably their star player, for me, it felt like Matt Martin, and he goes to the Razorbacks. And, Lockie might even bring a couple more Peruks with him as well. That strengthens that side immensely. And that could be, what they need to knock off, to one up Terrigal, which they've been unable to do in previous years. So yeah, I'm tipping Razorbacks for one, mate. Have you got 2 or 3, or is everything else sort of clustered after that?
I've got a clear 2, and the reason why I've got a clear 2 is because I think these 2 teams will be the best, and I think that's the Razorbacks, as I said, and I think the Terrigal Trojans will be there or thereabouts to be beaten as well, and everyone's chasing the Terrigal Trojans. There's no doubt about that. The thing I can see with Terrigal this year is I can see them being absolutely leaders of the competition, as they have been substantially for the last sort of, let's say 5 or 6 years. And Arimba seem to have their measure, certainly when it comes to competition round. So it wouldn't surprise me if there's only 1 game difference between the Razorbacks and the Terrigal Trojans when it comes to points table. So I've gone Arimba and Terrigal to be my 1 and 2. And then from there, I've gone Avoca Beach and Gosford as the. I think you'll see a far more competitive Avoca Beach side. I think you'll see that they've a little bit more experience under their belt, and I think you'll find that. I think they're going to be giving the competition a good shake. I think Gosford are much improved. I think they're going to be strengthened by a few carry-on players that have sort of head down the hill to play there. So I think they're the top four. That wouldn't surprise me if the order changes slightly, but for mine, Razorbacks, Terrigal, Avoca Beach, and Gosford are my top four. Who have you got in third and fourth?
So third and fourth for me. Second, first of all, is going to be the same as you. I'm going to put Terrigal there just because, just based on form for the last 5 years.
Well, but also here's the thing: not just because they're a bloody good club. They're a well-run club. They're a strong club, and they've done well, and they've done well to continue on with that success. So, try to keep going, mate. Sorry, pal.
No, you're right, mate. I know you love it. I know you love your Trojans. Third and fourth. I said the team to watch on last week's episode. Maybe it was the week before, one of them. The team to watch is going to be Wee Wee because they're either going to fold as a club or they're going to win the comp. And so I'm going to put them into third.
Bold prediction. You heard it here first.
Yeah, it's either going to be one way or the other. I'm going to put them into third spot. And I think Avoca should really go into third spot. But the reason I'm putting Wee Wee in there is because if it clicks and everything comes into place that they're setting out to get into place, they're going to be very, very tough to beat. So Wee Wee and Avoca are third and fourth to me. I don't care where they're going to sit. But I think that's going to be sort of third and fourth. And then to lock it out, I'm going to go Gosford in fifth. I think Gosford, I think they've got a couple of senior players coming back, and they had a really good foundation, not a foundation year, but a year to build foundations for that club last year. And I think adding a lot of class and that, brings back players. You've also got Mose and Carlisle there as well, which brings back players. And I think the culture of Gosford is going to be back this year on display. And I think that's going to result in some good results and good performances on the field. So I'm gonna back Gosford to play finals footy this year. Who you got as fifth?
The thing I love about the 5-team competition is it's almost wildcardish. You know what I mean? It really is, and I think we've seen the competition. We've got traditionally 6 or 7 really strong sides, and the other sort of 2 generally, are trying to establish themselves, as stronger clubs. I've actually gone the Wildcats, mate. I think the Wildcats could go one or two ways. We saw a lot of promise from them last year, and I know they got.
Numbers. It looks like they got really solid numbers from the stuff they're putting on socials.
Yeah, and so I just think, I guess it's a little bit more on hope of potential, but those Wildcats, if they don't make it, they're underachieving. It's as simple as that. And I've got them in there in my 5th position, and they should make 5th. And if they don't make 5th, they've underachieved.
All right. So I got Razorbacks, Terrigal, Wee Wee, Avoca, Gosford. You've got Razorbacks, Terrigal, Avoca, Gosford, Warrnambool.
Warrnambool, yeah. I think that'll make an absolute ding-dong battle for a semi-final series. But before we get anywhere near the semi-final series, pal, what do we got round 1?
Round 1, let's have a look at it. All right, we'll keep on the men's then. First game, Lake Macquarie is going to open up the round. We're all playing at the same time, but they're first on the draw. So
they're opening up the round. Come on, let's go. Mighty Roos.
At Walters Park, Bullaroo. So you've obviously got extensive experience at Walters Park, one of the great grounds of the Central Coast now, being extended, or the Central Coast Rugby competition. Lake Macquarie v Warrnambool, mate. How do you see things going?
Well, it all depends on what they do with the grass there at Bullaroo, home of the Roos. The Kikuyu there can get a little bit scratchy and a little bit long when they don't keep on top of it.
Yep.
Knowing the groundskeeper there, Willie Bryan, he'll undoubtedly run the mower over it. Probably give it about a 13 mil trim to keep it down to probably about the 47 mil mark. And I think it's going to be a nice quick track, providing the rain can get away. As we all know, water doesn't like to dissipate from Bullaroo too quickly. So with any luck, the water stays away. And we have an absolutely cracking match between Lake Macquarie Roos, their very first competition match in the Central Coast. How exciting.
Do you see him winning, mate?
No, I don't. I
see the Wildcats getting out.
I see the Wildcats. I see the Wildcats winning. I hope all the best for the Lakes. For Lake Macquarie.
We don't know. They are the great unknown at the moment. Obviously, I think they had some
but
tough times in the Newcastle competition, but they are the great unknown. And Warrnambool do look like they've got some really solid numbers there. So I think
they showed
this
a lot
could
of
be
promise at the sevens by the sea.
Yep.
But I think the structure and hopefully the continuity of the Razorbacks will be a little bit too much for the Lake Macquarie Roos. So I'm going to tick Warrnambool.
Yeah.
Who are you going?
Where did the Razorbacks come into that? Did you just have one of your old man moments?
I thought Razorbacks? Wildcats, sorry. Wildcats. Yeah, a bit all over the shop.
Yeah, 100%.
I've enjoyed your birthday too much.
Yeah, I think you have. I'm going to go Warrnambool as well. I think it's going to be a really good start for them this weekend. And just on the trials, I know trials are, you can't read too much into them, but just from what I'm hearing as well, I think Lake Macquarie are a little bit off the pace. So we'll just see how that works out for Warrnambool. And as I said, the numbers for Warrnambool are really encouraging. So I'm really buoyed by that if they can get a good win this weekend. Second game, Woy host Razorbacks. Who you got?
Razorbacks, all day, all night.
I'm with you on that one.
I think the Lions, Woy Lions, are going to take a little bit of time to find a bit of cohesion in regards to their squad. They're obviously building everything on the run to stay competitive and to get into the competition. I don't think we'll see the best of Woy for a while. So clearly, the Razorbacks for me will be the team to win. I think they'll win by plenty, and I think it'll be a tough first outing for the Woy side.
I think it will as well. I think they've got some good players there at the moment, but I don't know if they're going to match it with the Razorbacks. But I think what's going to be important for Woy is if they do cop a bit of a toweling this weekend, is that those players are sticking around, because it's almost a new club under the banner of Woy, sort of how I'm feeling with just from the players that have gone and the new players that are coming in. So I'm pitching, I think the Razorbacks this week, but I think as the competition goes on, I think Woy will grow in a bit of strength there. But Razorbacks this weekend, and Razorbacks comfortably. Third game, Lakes host Avoca.
It'll be interesting to see how the Lakes shape up post the Marshall Homopo era. Marshall was obviously a wonderful human of the Central Coast competition and a big part of the Lakes club, and has been for a very long time, and it's taken a bit of time out and a well-earned rest. So it'll be interesting to see how the club shapes up after that and post that. I think it could be good, a little bit of a chance for a bit of breath of fresh air and try a new style. I think a little bit like Woy, we're going to take a little bit of time to see that and for those combinations to gel, and to, I guess, that style of rugby to sort of gel. And I think Avoca Beach I think they're a club on the rise in regards to the Premier One side, providing they can keep everyone fit. They've got a couple of young coaches in their first year of coaching, so it'll be interesting to see how they go there, especially when things get tough and tight and under pressure. But the Avoca Beach Sharks will win this match, in my opinion, and I think that'll come through stability of playing group, and I think they're better manned in some key positions.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I think it's an Avoca victory this week. I think for Lakes as well, we haven't heard too much about them, but they have had with Marshall leaving, that is a key person in terms of coaching ability, but also of somebody who can get players up around him, and he has such a strong bond with his players as well. So I think there might be a bit of a shift there at the Lakes, but again, nothing until you see them play a couple of games. So only round one. Trials don't mean anything, as I said before. So Avoca for me in this one, I think I think they got better foundations, better things in place at the moment. But also a perfect chance for Lakes first round at Slade Park. And last game for the round, mate, Hornsby hosts Gosford. This is going to be a very interesting one.
Yeah, Hornsby are a little bit of the great unknown.
They're back at Mark Taylor Oval now, the spiritual home ground. They're back at the Rock. I don't think it's the Rock anymore, though. I think they've done a little bit of work to the Rock. I think it's a bit of a pillow now, from what I'm hearing.
The pillow or the sponge?
Yeah, I think it is.
Well, I'm going to hope that impacted their season last year, because they were bloody disappointing, in my opinion. After what was a really strong season prior, and held a lot of promise, and they went sort of deep into the semis, and then obviously we had the sort of the COVID interrupted year. I think they underachieved a little bit last year, which is a shame. I know they've had a change of personnel down there at Hornsby, so it's really going to be interesting to see how they go. I really hope they go well. I think Gosford are going to be too strong for them, but it's really, we're going to have to wait and see. We haven't heard too much about them. They've flown under the radar this pre-season. They got up to the sevens and sort of had a bit of a play around. We were hoping to see a lot from them, but we didn't see much at all, did we?
Yeah, it's exactly right. I think they're another one that, as you said, like they had so much promise 2 years ago. There was so much about them, and they had that really good win at Terrigal when Terrigal were almost or seemed unbeatable as well. But they lost a couple of key people there, and that's really impacted them. So, and for Gosford, it's their first game for I suppose everybody there for the club, first competition game. It's going to be a bus trip as well. I think Gosford will be up for this, and I think Gosford will get the win this weekend.
It'll be interesting, yeah. Yeah, it's all there for Hornsby. I think it's a prime time to play Gosford. As you said, they're going to take a little bit of time to gel with their new players coming down from sort of carry on. So, yeah, I think it probably could be the tightest match of the day, of the round, I think.
All right, well, let's go on to the women's now. So Warnervale host Terrigal at Walters Park, Bullaroo.
Well, Bullaroo, as you know, and as you've said, Warnervale second home. I think
is it going to be enough?
No, it's not. They could play at both home grounds at the same time, and that won't be enough to beat the Terrigal Trojan women. They're just going to be too strong, too fast, and too skillful around the paddock. Having said that, though, I really believe that the Warnervale women will continue to grow and continue to develop their strength of rugby. I just think they need to work out how they want to play the game. I think from what I've seen of them recently, they're a little bit all over shop. They don't really have any confidence in their style or any clear direction in their style. They've got some absolutely outstanding players in that side, country representative players in that side, but they don't really play to that strength. Where that Terrigal Trojan women's side, they're a very well-balanced side. They know their strengths. They know how to work the spaces. They do that, and that's why they've been so successful for so long. So the Terrigal Trojan women will win that match and probably win by a fair bit.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think Terrigal win the Battle of the Blue Filth, first one of the year for the women.
Yeah, filth off.
It is the filth off. I think Terrigal stay filthy in that one. Woy host Razorbacks. This could be an anything game. I think it's going to be the tightest one of the weekend, actually.
Well, here's where we've got to give a little bit of credit for Woy forfeiting 2 weeks ago. So they're just really going to prime to come out and
at their home grounds.
Home ground, show the Razorbacks what they've got. Yeah. They didn't want to show them too early 2 weeks ago.
No, they didn't.
Look, let's be fair to them. I really hope the Woy women show up to play, to be honest. Yeah. And I hope it's not a forfeit. But this will be a good game. It'll be a really good game. The Woy women are very much an unknown quantity. They were a very good side a few years back. If they get the vast majority of those women coming back and perhaps a few of those women who have gone to other clubs, if they return, I think they're going to be quite a competitive outfit. So I really don't know. Flip a coin. Heads says Razorbacks, tails says Woy. Razorbacks it is for me.
Razorbacks. I'll back the Razorbacks in as well, just because I've got no idea what side Woy will be fielding out there. I know they're trying really hard to get a team together, and I think they've got players there to throw out there. They just couldn't get it together for the trial. But I think, regardless of Woy, I really hope Razorbacks going to have a strong year this year. So I'm going to back them in for this year. But also Woy, if they are playing and they've got all the people. If they're going to have players like Ebony Millgate and Holly Johnston and those players that are there, they're going to be a tough team to beat. And the last game, mate, Lakes host Avoca.
Well, Lakes women made the semi-final series for the first time last year, and they put in a good showing too. But coming up against the Avoca Beach women, fresh off the Sevens by the Sea victory a few weeks back, and current title premiership holders, I think it's going to be a little bit of a bridge too far for the Lakes women round one. And I think you'll see the Avoca Beach side win this. They'll win it convincingly. However, the scoreline won't indicate it because, as we both know, the Avoca Beach women lack the ability to kick a conversion. So the score could be 55-0, 11 tries to nothing, but we don't know. We'll see. We'll wait and see.
All right, and Hornsby, the team with the bye. So going through the games again for the men's, Lake Macquarie host Warnervale, Woolwee host Razorbacks, Lakes host Avoca, Hornsby host Gosford. For the women's, Warnervale host Terrigal, Woolwee host the Razorbacks, and Lakes host Avoca. That is the preview for round one. And that's me getting jumpy on the segment breaker, mate. Just double pumping it.
Mate, but how great is it to have rugby back? We're finally back. We're finally in, and we're finally getting the season underway. We had a little bit of a stutter start with the, look, let's just hope ultimately it's proven correct with the Central Coast sort of pulling the handbrake on the start of the competition, allowing the Woolwee Lions to sort of get their house in order to remain in Premier 1. That's been the case. A lot of the responsibilities now on the Woolwee Lions to ensure they fulfil that, I guess, promise they've made to not just the Central Coast Rugby Union administration, but also the eight other clubs that are relying on them to show up each and every week. Now that that's all happened, we're underway, and it's going to be a cracking season. I can't wait.
It is, mate. And also with the start of the season brings the end to the greatest preseason tournament in the modern era, which is the B&B Bitumen Bash. So we started this as a bit of a thing, a bit of a time filler, to be completely honest with you. And we found out we had another 4 weeks or something before we were going to start. But it's been awesome, and I want to thank everybody for getting around it. So we had to actually create a second group. There were so many people that wanted to jump in it. I didn't realize that Strava had obviously a cap on the groups. And we were one person over the group. So Dylan Hardacre just sits in a group by himself with us, and that's it.
It's probably the best place for Dylan, to be honest.
It is. He's competing against himself. Actually, unfortunately, Nick Friend's also in that group because that was the first one we put him in.
You get no hiding.
And actually, it brought me great pleasure. I kicked Todd Atkins out of the first group because he was sitting on 0 and doing nothing. I kicked him out to put Nick Friend in there. So that was a welcome adjustment. Todd still hasn't
having problems coordinating, getting the Strava to talk to his distances, apparently.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he does have that. I want to give a huge shout to Nick Friend. So Nick Friend, we have a couple of days left anyway. It obviously ends on Wednesday, but the results are not going to change. Nick Friend currently on 5.
Whoa.
Mate, I've looked up world records. Mate, David Goggins isn't going to chase Nick Friend down. It's ridiculous the lead that he has. He's on 516 kilometers. The closest is Dave Hall on 291. So unless Dave's going to have to run about another 200, probably about maybe 120 Ks a day, more than Nick Friend.
How far am I away? Do you have that statistic off the top of your head?
I do. Off Nick Friend?
Is that?
No. Let me work this out. You are 490 Ks away.
Yeah, that's all right. There's still time.
I'm a little bit closer. I'm 489 Ks away, so still time for me as well. I'm just going for walks until I get up just past you. So I'm currently 1.2 out of you, which is all I need. So congratulations to Nick Friend. He's going to take out the individual prize thanks to Sarah Lufay. Dog training.
Hang on.
Thank you very much for Sarah to get on.
Does he have a photo of his dog? I haven't checked.
He's got many photos of his dogs. He's got dogs off leash. He's got dogs on leash. You've never seen a man with more photos of dogs.
I was going to say, hopefully it's not in the dogs on leash area.
No, he's a law abider.
He is.
Is Nick one of the great people as well? Nick at the Central Coast, and does awesome stuff with photography as well. And obviously known him for a while at Wee and what he did to give up his time to take photos of us. When kind of, I suppose, around the Central Coast, there's no photos for sport, for at least rugby union. And he'd go to other games and take photos, share them with the other teams. Did awesome stuff. And I think he's getting recognised a bit with all the stuff he's doing for Central Coast at the moment as well. So he's on 516. The next closest was David Hall on 291. And then after that was Tim Lark on 242. But there's awesome efforts all around the board. Like Lee Sullivan cracked 200 Ks. Like, when would that ever happen? I don't know if that's somebody else walking for Lee.
Certainly didn't happen in his playing days. I'll give you the tip.
No, not at all. So, and then for the team, if Nick represented himself as a team, he would have nearly won it by himself. Maybe it should have been a photographers club, but he did choose to represent the Warrior Rugby Club. And so the Warrior Rugby Club will take the $500 as well, thanks to Gus and the team at Arena Podiatry. They end up on just over 900 kilometers. Second place was Terrigal on 670, which is still a massive shift. And you take Nick's 500 out of the equation, then Terrigal will easily take it out. So, and referees came in third, 301 kilometers. Dave Hall, 290 of those. And look, Barthy, we cracked 50, so that's
still
nice, strong.
Nice, good,
still strong, and probably all we need. But yeah, thanks to everyone who jumped on board with it. It's been a lot of fun to sort of take the piss with it a bit. All the stuff that's come through on the socials, a bit of back and forth, and everyone's sort of going along with it. So, which is awesome. So Nick Friend will take out the $250 thanks to Sarah Lou Fay, and Woy take out the $500 thanks to Gus and the team at Arena Podiatry. Barthy, I've got 3% battery remaining on my Mac, and I don't have a charger in the room. So we're kind of I'm watching it go from 5 to 4 to 3 very quickly. Hasn't hit 2 just yet. So I'm just a little bit cautious with how much we're going to lose this podcast if we keep continuing. Is there anything else that is there anything else that you want to add onto this week's episode at all?
No, I just want to give a quick thank you to the referees who are going to run out on Saturday, and they do that so we can have a game each and every week. So
2%.
2%. Thank you, referees. You do a great job, and it's a thankless job in many ways, but hopefully all the players behave themselves. Hopefully a whistle stay in your pocket for as long as possible, but we cannot have the game without you.
And also volunteers for this week. Yep, volunteers for this week. Everyone is coming out to volunteer this week, doing everything at your club. Greatly appreciated, and that's what makes the game of rugby absolutely awesome. And stay tuned on the socials, because I'm hearing reports that Gus isn't very happy with our performance in the Bitumen Bash, so there could be I don't know if there's any repercussions from that, but let's just see. We'll see in the future. But keep an eye out on the socials. Is that it, mate? 1%?
Yeah, that's it. Get us out of here, pal.
See ya!